Okay, guys, welcome. Welcome, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good Wednesday. All right. So, welcome to all my friends from around the world. I'm back here with another live analysis session. Okay. Welcome, students that are on. Okay. Welcome, everybody. All right. Welcome, people. All right. So, let's get started with what we have going on. So, again, we've just had the ADP news come out. So, what I'm going to do for you guys, I'm going to switch to swiftly and quickly, switchly. I'm going to switch over to this other screen here. And let's have a look at the economic calendar for today. All right, so I'll share the screen with you here. Okay. Don't worry about the birds if you can hear them. I think they wanted to join the analysis session. So, all right, switch screens now. Let's have a look here. So we have the ADP news come out. So at the moment here, we have a negative reading. Okay, now, as I said to you before, guys, the ADP is very important. Why? It's simple statistics. If I put it to you in the best way possible, if you think of a sample size, if you were to make a calculation on roughly, for example, if you want to make a consensus or come to agreement about a population, usually what they do is that they try to find out facts and figures by using a large pool of which represents the 100% of the population. But because of time consuming activities that would result from trying to maybe, for example, interview an entire population, what you usually get with statistics is what we call a representative or a sample representation. So the ADP, if you want to think of the ADP results, it's the same thing. With the ADP results, they're the largest payroll service in America. Okay, now the non-farm payrolls takes into account the entire population of America. The ADP takes a large percentage or the largest percentage of it. Now, the percentage is not completely known to me, okay? But the ADP from the calculations here, if we were to do a calculation here, if the previous was 680K, all right? And if I scroll down here to Friday, and let's look at the NFPs for Friday here. All right, on Friday's 850, which was the previous. So if we did some quick maths here, all right, off the top of our head, if you divide 680 divided by 850, and we divide that by each other and times it by 100, we're going to have a percentage. So I'm just going to do a rough percentage here. So 680, and this is 680,000 change in the number of people on payroll divided by 850. So 680 divided by 850. All right, times by 100. So according to this is the ADP is showing about, if I show you on my phone here, roughly around about 80% of the population or 80% of the American payroll system is covered in this piece of, or 80% of the American population, I should say. So saying that, okay, this means that the ADP results coming out worse than expected, most likely the NFPs will be the same. Now, of course, there are variations and it's not always the same. But if this is the case for the ADP, then I mean, for those of you who are always anticipating the NFP results because you want to scalp it, I always say that we want to trade like institutions, and institutions don't trade NFPs the same way we do. Most news, especially data pieces of news. Now, data pieces of news, the reason why they are treated differently from something, let's say for example, a speech, is because a speech, okay, is much more difficult to create a data model around. Okay, so if you wanted to make a predictive model based on previous data, because speech is the words of a human and human beings are not perfect, okay, you couldn't create, it would be a very complex, but it would be very difficult to create some sort of algorithm or system to be able to predict what most likely will be said. Okay. Now, to a certain degree, because we're in COVID right now, every central bank is saying the same thing. Okay, specifically, and then there will be variations and nuances depending on what economy we're discussing. But with data news, because it's based on pure data, pure numbers and statistics, it's a lot easier for institutions to be able to make a data model around it. Okay, now why do I say this? Now, since they can create data models around data, okay, then it's a lot easier for them to create what we call a whisper number, which is the consensus. So the consensus institutionally is a term called the whisper number. And the whisper number is a number which can be predicted months in advance, that institutions try to use data from different sources and from different aspects of the economy and different economical numbers, okay, and figures to be able to create what the most likely the consensus would be. Now, why did they do this? Now, they know that most retail traders are going to be involved in the market because there's a high chance of possibility, well, there is a probability that you can make money because there's a lot of pip movements potentially. And so institutions and levels of that kind of money most likely will use the opportunity of the NFPs to get out of positions, maybe long-term ones or mid-short-term ones, or, okay, they will use it just for them to manipulate them or to get money from retail traders from their mistakes that they usually make. Okay. So if you want to have a head start to know what's most likely what's going to happen on Friday when it comes to NFPs, you can really look to Wednesday to get a good position. Now, according to this is just a rough estimate. It might be different, but according to this, approximately about 80% of the non-farm payrolls is covered on by Wednesday. We already know 80% of the results. So the last 20%, now this number is looking pretty low. It's 330K. It's basically less than half of the consensus and definitely more than less than half of the previous. So we can expect most likely, even if the extra 20% was added, I don't think we're going to have a better than expected employment change from the NFPs, which means that we might see a, for sure, well, according for that moment anyway, for the first 15 minutes, we will see a bearish US dollar, which means a weaker US dollar for the moment. So if it comes out to be better than expected, that would be amazing. There has been a few times where the ADP results show negative results, but then the NFPs come out to be positive, okay? And that can be due to different factors, all right? But again, just using pure statistics, we do have the potential here for the price to give us something quite lucrative here. So I'm going to move forward back over to the charts. Let's have a look at what's going on with the charts and let's see what we have going forward. So pound USD is starting to return back to the area. I'm in AUD at the moment, AUD USD. Now, to recap on AUD USD, I had this area that I was calling out, this 5-minute zone yesterday. Now, we had the price break beneath this area, but then return back above, which means we're still in the demand area of price. So what I've done is taken a pretty neat area. There's this area right here on the H1, which was acting as a supply zone for the meantime. We've had a very strong body close about 4 or 5 hours ago above this area. Now the price has returned to the other side. So this is a nice area for a break and a flip, and I'm putting my targets here about 60 pips away. Now, this is not really a large trade. I think I've made my stop loss wider. I don't even know why I made it that wide. It shouldn't be. It should be around about here, about 9 pips. I think I moved it because of the news, possibly the ADP news, because I entered, I think, a minute before or like 10 seconds before, which is not the norm, but I didn't think the price was going to do much for it. So I'm expecting the price to get back to these areas here, at least, and possibly even higher. Okay. I still think that AUD USD is bearish and there is opportunity for a short, but I do think the price is going to provide one more long, roughly around to this supply zone here, possibly even higher. So this is my first trade for the day. The gold has done an absolutely amazing move. Okay. The price broke past that area and has done a very lovely spike back into this area. Now, how far gold will go, again, from the Hugo's Way perspective, we still have a liquidity gap here on gold that needs to be filled right here. Now, with this happening here in the US dollar looking weak, then I do expect AUD USD and gold also to go the same direction. Now, I'm pulling up gold because the Australian dollar and gold have a very good relationship because of the Australian dollar being a commodity currency, and its main commodity export is from mining, which is gold. And so if the price of gold goes up anyway, AUD USD will be going up anyway. So even if we were to look at something else, maybe let's say Australian dollar, Japanese yen, for example, I do expect there to be a long on those also as gold goes up. So gold price is pushing quite strongly. If the price breaks above here, which was my area from last time for the first long, I will be looking to take a long myself, and I'll look for my targets, which the target specifically is not exactly just at the gap, but just above it. We need the price to return back into this supply zone because we haven't had a return here just yet. Price came close by, but didn't return. So my targets for this are exactly at 1864.24. And I expect the price to do so. Now, I'm hoping that once the price gets here, that we should see some action that will give us the clue that we need to go for a long. Now, the H4 is the most safest zone or type of supply zone area we could use. There are the smaller ones, but what I'm rather going to do is just wait for a H4 close. Now, for those of you who are trading the H4, always remember commodities, including gold, the H4 sessions are not in the same cycle of even numbers. They're in odd numbers. Okay, they're only even for a few days or maximum like 2 weeks when we have, or for us in the UK, when we have the change in time from when we go from BST back to normal GMT, we go 1 hour back. So daylight saving hours and stuff. So for now, the next H4 candle will appear at 3 o'clock, not 2 o'clock. So we still have an hour and 17 minutes approximately on gold before we know whether we're going to get this movement. As soon as I see this, I'll be ready to pounce on gold and take a very, very nice long up to this area. If it does more, I don't mind, but really my reality, I'm looking for this area here. Okay. Now USD CHF is pushing down short so strongly. Now it really did come back and return here, as we said yesterday, and it's taken this high. Now I didn't even get a chance to get into this one. The price just kind of took off. Now I wouldn't say I'm not hoping for a pullback. I am. I hope that the price pulls back. If not, we're going to have to find another way really to get into this trade. But from what I can see here, the price is moving quite strongly short. So that means that these pairs should be moving quite strongly long. Now, pound USD, I'm expecting it to get back to this area here. And from this area, I do think now, from the looks of pound USD, to recap on here, I know that we should see a long on the pound. Don't get me wrong. After we've had this very strong spike here and the price has finally filled the efficiency of returning back to this order block, this area here now is really our B. So we have an A to B swing that we formed up here. We had the first one and the price came and took this high and also dropped beneath this low. So now we have, if I was to draw this out for you guys to explain this, from where we are with pound USD, we have an A swing here. And then we have a B swing back up to this region here. And then a C swing right here. So from this A to B movement and then the C here, now that we've got this market structure forming, from this spike we've had here, we've just broken the market structure of these swing highs here, even back up to this point right here. So now that we've broken market structure, I do expect the price to return to clarify the smaller time frame structure. So this is why I am looking for a short, and I expect the price to come back down to these regions, at least from 1.37867 and beneath. But now that the price is returning here, on Friday, we had a strong reversal signature into this H4 area. Now, if the price does break above this H4 area, don't get me wrong, I will be long, okay? And I didn't intend to rhyme, but I actually rhymed so well. But I really will be looking for, I can delete all of these markings for now. I really will be looking for a long, but for now, I do think when the price returns here, there is two options. Either the price is going to return to supply, or the high, which is basically the high of the week, the price may spike above this high and then push short. But I do expect the price to at least do this first 200 to 170 pips here. And if the price does more, then I'm looking for the 300. I do think we are going to see that. Now, the real trigger for this really, or the real breaking point, now we have heavy pound news coming out tomorrow, 12 p.m. GMT time, okay, which I guess is about 7 for those of you in America, or 8 o'clock, between 7 and 8, depending on what coast you are on, okay, in the morning. Now, there's always 9, I call it the wall of fire, but that wall of fire happens every month, and we have about, I think is 8 or 9 pieces of high impact news all at the same time. So I do expect the pound to really see some crazy movement. Now I'm hoping that the price already gets to this area today, and we might see pound news that causes the price to go bearish just temporarily. That would be great. But we can't completely say so just yet. We're gonna have to, pay attention and watch what the price does. Okay, so I'm watching pound USD. I want to take this trade. I do think the price is going to return here and possibly even back a little bit higher here. And I'm willing to take a trade on this and take the risk, a small risk, but take the risk on this trade. Now, my stop loss, just to clarify, will be here, the first one. And if the price spikes above that high and does another move, then we could possibly go for another short. But I do believe we are supposed to have a short. Based on the market structure here, I do think that the market has to pull back to some degree to clarify the bullish structure on the lower time frame. So that's what I'm waiting for primarily. So I'm going to put this here. Now, USD CHF again is flying down short, as it should do, and it should be approaching the gaps soon. USD CAD was a fantastic trade. I hope you got some money from that and closed it. It was a very, very beautiful scalp from here straight up to here, 50 pips on the dot. Lovely. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, Euro USD, not surprisingly, has done a very strong long and is making its way higher up. Now, as I told you guys, with Euro USD, I do expect the price to continue pushing up long and take this high and return to this supply zone. So from here to here, we still have 102 pips. Now, it doesn't probably make much sense why Euro USD has done this long, but if you look at the H4 structure, again, we have a very beautiful area of supply that the price has broken beneath. Yesterday, near the end of the UK session, or the US session, I should say, the price attempted to spike here, but we didn't have that. And then in Asia, we got into a range. And so in this last 4-hour session, so in the morning, we had a return back to the other side of supply. So fulfillment of efficiency here. The price is optimized for demand, and now we're seeing the long from that. So I do expect with Euro USD for there to be a continuation. I mean, the easiest way to capture this trade is the price has now returned back into the highest body area, not the wicks, but the highest body area of this Asia range. So once it breaks past the supply zone, capping the range, then you could go for a long here. So if you want to take a scalp now, then I think you should look for the price to return back into this area here. And from this area, put this right here. From this area, then you can go for a good long back up to this region. So we should be seeing this today. I do think there is more US news on the way, but we'll see very soon enough what the price wants to do. Okay, now this weakening of the US dollar here is affecting cryptos also. XRP, all of the other cryptos who were lodged in demand are starting to find their footing for a long. Okay, USD CAD is not behaving the same way, and it shouldn't, okay, because its movements are more correlated to oil than the US dollar because of the nature of the Canadian dollar. So let's see how the price behaves moving forward. Now, gold is still pushing long here, becoming even stronger in movement. Now, I wish I did take the long. I hesitated too much, but I saw the price break right here, and I should have just put a buy on. It would have been a great buy, but hesitated and paid the consequence for hesitation. All right, so let's see what the price can give us. Now, I'm going to look back at other opportunities here, and then we're going to take a look back at the news and see what else is available here. So I'm going to pull up the charts. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the market. All right, we already have pound USD and USD CHF here. All right, pushing fantastically short. All right, Euro USD is on its way long. USD Japanese yen is still pushing more heavily short. So that means we are going to get the price getting back down to these lows here, which is interesting to see. All right, I always did say that USD Japanese yen also had the opportunity for that movement too. And so we've had that. Okay. USD CAD, let's go to NZD USD. So looking across, we do have some really good action going on. Seems like the euro is gaining strength. against the pound at the moment. The pound is weakening up a little from that standpoint. All right. So I'm just going to be scanning through very quickly, looking for any opportunities that we can grab today. Okay. So European Japanese yen, interesting at the moment. Won't say much just yet. I give the price a bit more of a chance to do what it's doing, and then we can come back to that. But there might be a potential opportunity here. Come back in a moment. Okay. So scanning through here, again, I'm not a proponent for trading every single pair. I don't think that's the right way to go about things at all. I think it's better for you to just find a pair that you do like, or a handful of pairs, and stick to those. So this is what you'll see me do most of the time. Unless there's a pressing opportunity like a scalp or something that we can go for, you wouldn't really catch me doing stuff like that. All right. I'm looking at the US 30. Always good to have a look. Now, the US 30 has a reversal signature here, and the price has just pulled back for the fullness of it. So US 30 actually should be a good to go movement now for a short right now, but we need a H1 close here. If I get a return back on this side, then I think I'm going to go for a short on the US 30 because it's just done a beautiful signature. Now with the US 30, I don't really observe it that much, but if I was following this, then this would have been our entry right here up. This was a perfect entry, stop loss just above. This is a very clean movement here. And I expect it, from what the structure of the US 30 has just done, I expect the price to at least get back to down here. Triangle, we need a square. Yeah, so this is the first target that I have for the US 30. Second target would be back down to this region right here for a second target. And I do think this is highly possible. Looking at the structure of these lows here that we've got, I do think that the price is definitely going to give us a T2. And this T2 would be back down to this area here. So what I'm going to flip this over, put this here. I do think this is going to definitely give us a T2 right here. And from this region, we can go for, yeah, the UK 30. I don't often trade it, but right now is very beautiful what the price has just done. It is absolutely fantastic. I like this price action so much. And I don't usually say that about the US 30, but this is beautiful. I do think that the price will snap back into its bullish trend. Inflation is higher, so dollar denominated, I mean, apart from the ratings, but I believe that, we should see an increase as the US 30 goes up, and inflation usually causes the US 30 to increase in value nominally. So we see the pricing going up. So I'm expecting to see a very strong short from here. Target 1 is down here, target 2. I'll post the signal for this. I think this is great. But if you see this pullback, guys, I would say have at it. This is a very good trade to take. Definitely. It's so beautiful, even down to the 5-minute. Everything is perfect about this trade. I just wish I saw this a lot sooner. But this is beautiful here. This is absolutely beautiful. All right, let's see what happens with the US 30 if we can catch something on there. Let's see what's going on here. So we're getting this nice little push on the long. I like that. All right, I'm going to get rid of one of my Bitcoins because I think I have more than one Bitcoin here. Yeah, I can take one and continue looking. So let's have a look at the UK 100. So UK 100 is pushing short. Now, Pound USD and UK 100 usually have an opposite pair correlation, not all the time, but Pound USD, when it goes long, the UK 100 usually goes short. So UK 100 experiencing this short. How long is going to go for? I don't know. But I know overall, sooner or later, the UK 100 will have to fill this gap that was left from the coronavirus. As I said, the UK 100 is probably one of the only indices left which hasn't filled its high, or it hasn't filled out the gap and gone back above its all-time high. Many other indices have. Japanese 225 or Nikkei 225 or just the Nikkei. That was the all-time high so far. Price has gone quite far above it. The Nasdaq for sure. This is the drop from the coronavirus period. The Nasdaq has basically doubled since the coronavirus period. We have S&P 500 or SPX 500. That was the high. Price has gone at least 20% or 30% higher. And German index here, just to show you guys. So in essence, to buttress the point, the only indice that hasn't exhibited this price action yet is the UK 100 or the FTSE. So I do expect this to happen at some point soon. Okay, the FTSE looks like he's on his way. He's really struggling to get there, but slow and steady still wins the race. I do think that this is going to happen. All right, it will be a fantastic long if you can grab a long now. The only thing I don't like, and this is why I stay away from indices, is that I'm happy to trade spikes. Spikes make a lot of sense. The wicks, make a lot of sense. However, the only problem is with the price action surrounding it is very difficult to grab a trade sometimes. As you can see, there's a lot of spiking. There's not really something you can easily swing, Now, if you had got in a bit earlier down here, then it's better, but it's a lot more difficult to swing indices than others because there's so much spiking, so much manipulation of the price. So every time you try to hold on to it, you could get stopped out by a wick and then it goes back to your entry. Just kind of a topsy-turvy movement here. So I think for me, I see indices best to be traded days trading style. You get in and get out in a day or maybe two at best. But I don't think I'll be swinging. That's the only hard part about trading indices. Unless you get a very, very good entry, it's very difficult to hang in there because the spiking can be even gut-wrenching, which I don't think I have the psychology to stand for, to be fair. All right, let's look at oil. So oil is still pushing short and US oil following through. Okay, now we have the price action needs to get quite far down from where it is right now. I'm expecting the price to enter back into demand here from this spike. Expect it to get back down to 63. And advisably, I do think USD CAD needs to definitely go long. So USD CAD again, guys, when we're talking about targets here, USD CAD, the first target we have here is this area of many multiple highs, which is a high area of liquidity, which will be our first target for a long. And I do think that if oil is dropping short the way it is, then we should see the USD CAD go long. Okay, because the Canadian dollar is losing strength every time the prices of oils universally is dropping. So I expect the USD CAD to push for a long here, and then second targets back up to this high at least. So we have I would say a good 250 pips on the CAD that we can grab. Okay, and I'll be watching out very carefully. It looks like the price is still bouncing around on the H4 here. So the price is just trying to find its footing, but I assume sooner or later the price will show up a bit more strongly. I think right here, we do have an entry possibly we can go for. What I'll do, I'll watch out for this to see what pullbacks we have in the 5 minute. I think that this pullback, I'm expecting the price really and ideally to go back to around about here. Once the price pulls back here, this is going to be our second entry. So I'm going to set an alarm. I expect the price to get there, and I would expect the price to give us a long from this point. And then from here, I expect the price to make its way back up again. So I'm going to wait for the CAD to do what it needs to do. I do think that the CAD will give us a nice trade here. And I call it, if you hear me say the CAD, I mean the US dollar. So US dollar versus the CAD. Now let's check on ADUSD. Now ADUSD, okay, now it's starting to gain some grip. Price is starting to push a bit further along here. Again, this is not a very long-term trade. This is quite short. I'll be out of this trade sooner or later. I'm just taking advantage of the price movement back up here. I do have the feeling though that the price probably might do more, but that's not my interest. I just want to hit the target that I have in mind, and then the rest can be dealt with later. So yeah, I'm going to wait for the CAD to pull back a bit lower. This will be my first aim. I am happy with the 5 minute zone here. 5 minute zone looks very clean to support the argument for a long. So I'm going to wait to see what the price does here. As soon as it gets here, I expect a long. Okay, so you should expect a long either. So I hope you guys enjoyed that on the live session today. I hope there's a lot for you to take away, for you to study on this. I would advise definitely watch this one over. A lot more of a teaching style session, and of course analysis too. And I hope to catch you guys soon. All right, everybody take care. Check the links check the description below if you want to join our Patreon to get these live signals to you. Okay, if you want to have a free course to learn a bit more about what I'm saying, there's a free course link beneath called the Mastermind course. I created it myself with tips and tricks and a very simple and outline course on exactly how to understand all of the words that I'm saying.
And